Magandang araw po sa inyo! Welcome po sa isa na namang episode ng online series ni Inang Pamantasan kung saan ang pagkatuto ay walang hangganan. Ito ang PNU Talks. Ako nga po pala si Gayle Devaras-Marticio, ang inyong Learning from Home buddy para sa episode na ito. Ako po ay graduate ng BS Physics for Teachers noong 2003. Ang episode sa araw na ito ay pinamagatang Dear Pinas, Love, Ma'am, and Sir. Ngayong araw na ito ay pag-uusapan natin ang iba't ibang talakaying pang-akademya at ang buhay-buhay ng mga guro sa ibang bansa. Bago po natin tuluyang simulan ang talakayan, maaari pong i-type ang inyong comments, questions, feedback at ano pang kuro-kuro tungkol sa episode na ito. Susubukan po naming balikan at sagutin ang kung anumang i-comment ninyo. So, paano nga ba ang magiging takbo ng episode natin ngayong araw na ito? Ang Dear Pinas, Love, Ma'am, and Sir ay may layuning maibahagi sa kapwa naming guro sa Pilipinas kung ano ang mga pinaghandaan, pinagdaanan, at mga nararanasan naming mga guro sa ibang bansa. Sinubukan kong humingi ng mga inputs or mga kuro-kuro, hindi lamang sa mga guro dito sa US, kundi mga guro na wala din sa Pilipinas pero nasa ibang sulok or panig ng mundo. Marami sila, kaso hindi na po nasama yung iba sa talakayan dahil kinapos na rin ako ng oras. So, baka may part 2, di ba? Okay, so wag na nating patagalin pa at simulan na natin ang ating talakayan. Probably the very first question that the audience or Filipinos would ask is, how did we get here? What would be the major reasons why a teacher would decide to teach abroad? So basically, merong tatlong mahalagang kadahilanan. Number 1 would be because of family or plans of migration. Because you want to go out of the Philippines, you want to change the environment, right? Number 2 would be for employment, actual employment abroad. And kung sa US, it's basically an H1 visa where you actually use your capability and skill to apply for a teaching position or an academic position abroad. And in due time, it's either you have the opportunity to just extend the visa or you have the opportunity to actually migrate or stay in that country for as long as you want. Now, the third type would be the type where I'm actually categorized in. I'm a teacher exchange. It's a program where the teacher has a contract with the school with the help of a sponsor. In most cases, aside from the sponsor, there is also the agency which helps you hook up and connect and teaches you how to go through the process so that you would be well connected with your sponsor and the host school where you will be in. So, ano nga naman yung mga stories behind our major answers on how we really got here? Teacher Bea, who is a former math major from the Philippine Normal University, nakuha niya yung idea sa teacher exchange sa isang event where she met the principal of her old school, And sinabihan siya, oh, baka interesado ka, teacher exchange, something, something. It's gonna be an abroad thingy, and you'll still get to teach, right? Sa case naman nila Sir Carl at ng wife niya, they continued their academic journey by taking masters at the Philippine Normal University, and one of their professors actually invited them or told them that there were openings abroad. And so, kagaya ng lahat, sumubok lang. And, sinerte, di ba? So we got here. Ako, yung story masyadong mahaba, masyadong kwela. It all started with the story that ended with the lines, she's just a science teacher. Masyadong childish. Hindi ko naman siya ganun kinimkim. But for sure, psychologists would say, sinasabi mo lang, hindi mo kinimkim kasi front mo lang yan, pero palagi mong inuulit-ulit sa kahit anong talk. Well, for me, inuulit-ulit ko siya because I think it really has impacted me and really motivated me to be where I am now. Naisip ko na baka tama sila or tama siya. I didn't deserve the promotion because I'm just a science teacher. I always believed that we cannot share what we didn't have. And sa sitwasyon sa Pilipinas, kapag nagtatrabaho ka bilang guro at all out ka, bihira yung may saktong panahon para sa gawain mo sa paaralan versus yung panahon para mapaunlad mo yung sarili mo. I mean, there would be professional development activities, there would be trainings and all, but most of it are mandatory, most of it are planned to cover the general public or the general academe, right? Seldom do you get the chance to be given the opportunity to actually get the training of the academic aspect that you really want to improve on. So yung linya na yun is naging, how do you call this? Wake up call sa sarili ko na, oo nga naman, siguro I need to level up. And so I did try to level up. At ang una kong naisip ng pag-move to a higher level is to go out of the country and learn more about the educational system of other countries, and maybe in the future I would be able to share it. But when I moved to the US and I got invited to different talks like this, I already felt that little by little I am being able to achieve that goal of leveling myself up and at the same time help the Philippine education. Kahit na ini-invite lang ako for a research congress, ini-insert ko palagi doon yung best practices na nakukuha ko dito sa US, and probably they'll get the idea from it and they would try it. Whether they tell me or not in the future, if it worked for them, as long as they tried it, I think for me, at least nasimulan ko na yung simple step of at least helping the Philippine education system. Eventually, hindi ko nakuha yung promotion na yun, pero may ibang promotion na dumating. So, it's a form of leveling up, pero busy din. So, I was promoted not in that department, but to a different department. And this time, I didn't just get the chance to teach students or teach kids, right? I got the chance to teach these future educators yung ako sa hinaharap. With that, I felt na mas kailangan ko pang pagbutihin, na ma-level up, madagdagan yung kaalaman ko, ma-move forward yung knowledge ko sa pagtuturo. And so, while I was at that new department, I tried to look for avenues na makapasok ako sa international network ng educational system. So, nagsimula sa pasali-sali sa mga presentations abroad, and good thing, when I got promoted to that department, the position came with it came with this role of being the advisor of the organization of that department. And since future teachers kami, yung department namin, there was this program hosted by by the organization, and it was about how to be a teacher beyond borders. And I was telling them, like, what a good way to actually walk the talk, okay, as a person organizing that career activity, career improvement, or that career day thingy, was to actually try it myself. It's because yung na-invite namin, naghahanap sila ng teachers with experience who wanna be part of the teacher exchange program. And so, pabiro kong sinabi sa organization and sa dean namin na, what if subukan ko kaya? Kasi, nung nag-general picture, parang naisip ko yung, how do you call this? The top models, di ba, yung every time may nai-evict, nag-change, nagtatanggal-tanggal ng picture dun sa general, sa panoramic photo nung event, right? So sabi ko, why not i-try ko, and then at least sa next na career day, may share na kayo na our career day was actually effective because we were able to send off a teacher abroad and be part of the teacher exchange program, right? And so yon, sumubok-subok ako, nag-apply ako last minute. I was supposed to be for Hawaii, but to make the long story short, maraming pinagdaanan na pagbabago doon sa proseso ng application. It was supposed to be a long application, but it got expedited, probably because PNU won ako, or probably because I was already old or something, or probably because I had the experience. So, basically, yun yung overview kung paano ako napunta dito. So, like I said, the main concept of teaching abroad is actually exemplifying how it is to be a teacher beyond borders. I joined a teacher exchange program between the Philippines and the United States of America, and I'm one lucky and blessed teacher to be part of the team and family of Idea Public Schools. It's a charter school in the state of Texas, and specifically, I am blessed to be a saint. Saint is the moniker for a teacher or a student of Idea San Juan College Preparatory School. I teach AP Physics, which is offered to the 11th grade and the 12th grade. I also have a new role this coming school year, which is to be a grade team leader for the 11th grade. So the grade team leader kind of monitors and makes sure everything goes well with the year level, from the students to the teachers and to the parents, plus the performance of everyone within the team. I actually started as an AP calculus teacher and a pre-calculus teacher. Nung napasok ako, tuwang-tuwa ako. Sinishare ko sa mga dati kong math teachers and professors sa PNU at sa master's classes ko sa UP. Nakakatuwa na sa kagustuhan ko talagang ma-level up at makalabas ng Pilipinas. At dahil sa pandemya, nawala muna yung item ko sa physics. Binigay muna sa iba. Pero nung nagbukas ulit yung borders at nagpapasok na ulit sila ng foreign teachers, the principal really wanted me to be part of the team. So, kung ano yung available na item, ibinigay sa akin. So, it was a big adjustment. But, ano yung naging motivation ko? Dito sa Pilipinas, hindi ka nga tatanungin kung ano yung loads mo for the school year. Lucky ka if you have a single load, a single preparation with all the resources already, right? But in the US, na-worry pa sila na dalawa daw yung preparation. But they said it's easy math, which is, natawa din ako. Like, easy math is AP calculus at pre-calculus po. It wasn't easy, for sure. It wasn't easy. For sure, you would agree with me. It isn't an easy subject. Those subjects are actually like difficult. But I was lucky to be mentored by best managers, best principals, best curriculum managers, and content leaders that I was able to breeze through the course, even if it wasn't my major. This teacher exchange program is one of the biggest opportunities I ever had in my teaching life. And I am reminded of how Sir Isaac Newton said, if I have been able to see further than others, it is because I have stood on the shoulders of giants. Nung nasa Pilipinas ako, kung sa anumang mga pang-akademikong gawain, yung fact na Philippine normal graduate ako, naniniwala akong isang malaking passes yun. Bakit naniniwala yung mga tao sa abilidad ko bilang isang guro. DepEd believed in me, private schools believed in me, even if I shifted from the public school and went back to the private system through a certain university in Cebu. I believe napakalaking bagay na naging maayos tayong produkto ng inang pamantasan. And then from there, we built whatever we have now. And I guess I'm just lucky to represent Philippine Normal University, not only in the Philippine education system, but also in the US. You could see more about my journey as a teacher exchange in the US. I'm gonna drop the link probably in the next few slides. You could click on it and you would see how I'm doing here at the Rio Grande Valley in the state of Texas. I guess the idea of teaching abroad brings you back to your prof ed classes. If you try to recall the topics on being a global and being a local teacher. When I was in the Philippines, I tried to aim that I be one of those really good local teachers. Hindi ko lang alam kung na-achieve ko nga ba yon. Pero sa loob-loob ko, naniniwala ako na sinubukan ko naman talaga. A local teacher is someone who thinks and acts both locally and globally with worldwide perspectives. but remains teaching in the communities, the local towns, the provinces, and the regions where we actually came from. As future teachers, I usually tell my students from the last department in the Philippines where I came from that you have to actually blend being global and local. Um, you have to actually integrate whatever you know locally with the stuff which is actually global so that people in the Philippines would believe na, hello, Pinoy ako, and kaya kong makipagsabayan sa mga pagbabago sa buong mundo. This opportunity, being part of the teacher exchange program, made me a more convincing teacher, probably, for my students who wanted to be future teachers. Dati, ini-example mo lang na pag nagturo ka sa ibang bansa, ito yung magiging mga benepisyo, ito yung magiging sweldo, ito yung pagkakaiba nung curriculum and everything. But now that I'm actually here abroad and I actually experience what I was trying to convey to my students after thorough readings, after going through researches and everything, and even checking the internet and other technologies that would actually give me the knowledge of what to share to them, I believe this experience of actually being here abroad made me more believable for teachers in the Philippines and future teachers in the Philippines, that a Filipino teacher could actually go out of the country and could actually be part of an international educational system and could actually be still as effective and as efficient as he or she is if they stayed in the Philippines as a teacher. I believe us teachers abroad being able to achieve and help students here actually motivates the teachers in the Philippines na kung ano man yung natututunan nila is hindi lang pang Pilipinas. Na totoo na yung mga itinuturo natin sa kanila at ipinakikita nating halimbawa ay talagang posible at nakakatulong sa edukasyon. Hindi lang ng ating bansa, hindi lang ng bansang kinaroroonan namin ngayon, kundi posibleng makapagbago sa educational system ng buong mundo. So in this episode, I tried not to only put the experiences or not to only give guidelines, but also to give you some of the theories and philosophies that I think even other international teachers could relate to. Before I left the Philippines, I had the opportunity to be under a session with Dr. Cecilia Manican. She's well known for her book Becoming the Great Teacher, which is actually the basis of the the standards that we use to check the quality, effectivity and efficiency of the teachers we have in the Philippines. And she highlighted that to become the great teacher, you should be very good, or you should be well improved in the following areas. First is the purpose of why you teach, or why are you part of the academe, and then the personhood, you being the teacher, not just an ordinary person, but as a teacher. What do you do to improve yourself that would in turn effectively and efficiently help others? Because that's what we do in the education system. We are instruments that help other people discover and become better versions of themselves, right? And the last one would be the practice. What would be your ways, your strategies? How would you continue and how would you sustain the things that you learned based on your purpose of being part of the academy, based on your personhood, and all other practices, best practices, or all other strategies and techniques that make you actually a good, an effective, or an efficient teacher, not only for kids, for other people, from for people from all walks of life, or just anyone, like the people around you. Going back to the question, how did I get here? What was my personal purpose of being here? We had this family motto that has been going on for years, that God knows best and He always has His reasons. There would be times you would question why you were aiming for a different thing, but you didn't get it. But in the end, God provides you with something, which in the end you would realize it's actually better, right? How did I get here in the Rio Grande Valley? Initially, I told you, like, I was supposed to be for Hawaii, right? But then things happened and they had to close the Hawaii thingy. But there was an event prior to the Hawaii screening, and I was qualified for that other screening. And it's for a charter school, a district in Texas, which is now IDEA, where I belong to. But the story doesn't end there. I wasn't supposed to be actually in San Juan. I was supposed to be part of a Filipino group hired for Midland. And out of the hundreds and hundreds who applied on that day, actually that was like 2 days, so basically like 400 applicants, there were like 24 trimmed down to 12 lucky ones, right? And out of the 12, who would have thought I would be pulled out from that bunch, right? And there were days I would always ask God, like, totoo Lord, out of the 12, ako talaga yung ililipat. Ako talaga yung tatanggalin. Ako talaga yung, ilalagay sa ibang lugar. And to think I'm gonna be in the US, it's a big country, and I don't know anyone from here. Noon, yun yung iniisip ko, no? I didn't know anyone and everything. But then, the interview came, and I fell in love with the core value of the school. Yung feeling na unang beses mo palang nakita, nakausap, you felt you'll be in good hands. Hindi yan sa Metrobank. So yeah, I saw my principal interview me with another colleague, and right there and then, nawala yung doubt na, bakit ako lang? Yung Lord naman, isang dosena kami. Tapos ako talaga yung mahihiwalay, di ba? And so, I just told myself, God knows best. He always has his reasons. And which, for now, naisip ko na I was too silly to think about that before, because I am so blessed to be here at Ideas and Juan. You know, alam niyo yung Texas na pagkalaki-laki niya na state, right? And the team I was telling you about is actually more or less 9 or 10 hours away from where I am. And like I said before, I was thinking that I would be alone, in a home away from home, right? But in the next slides, it will unfold how lucky and blessed I was, like, to just take the risk. Whatever, okay, fine. Ako yung pinili. Ako yung mag-isa. Let's move forward. I earned the prize because all you wanted was to level up and go out of the country and experience more, so that in the future you would be able to share more to the Philippine education system, right? I could remember my interview with the embassy, and the American consul was like, you know, that you're supposed to go back to the Philippines, right, after a certain part of a program. And I was just all eye on the prize and telling myself, like, let's do this. Yes, I know I'm supposed to be back. And so, what are your plans when you come back to the Philippines? And I was like, probably be part of the Department of Education to help improve the educational system. Well, nakakatawa siya na ganun talaga yung naging bigla mong sagot sa console, no? But now that I'm here, and yun nga, sabi ko, sa paunti-unting mga invitations, I get to share my experiences, and I get to inspire other people. And after a year, marami na rin yung nag-take ng risk, and nakita nila kung gano'ng katapang yung leap to be a teacher abroad and to go abroad and be away from your family for quite a long time. Pero nandito na po yung mga anak ko, so I'm a bit happy now. I'm happy now. So, hindi na lonely, di ba? So, yun. Minsan, mahirap talaga yung sumugal. Kung pakinggan nyo yung kwento ko, ako yung example ng nasaktan, na challenge, pero sumugal, di ba? I mean, I took the risk because I always believe that at least when you take the risk, you have the chance of, you know, moving on, moving forward, and be a winner, or you move on or move forward. I mean, you might have failed, but at least you learn from that risk, right? Rather than being on the safe side, not taking the risk. And so, in the end, because you just want to be on your safe space, then you stay in the safe space for quite a while, right? So for other theories and philosophies that I live by up until this day, or since I started teaching, I always remind myself to breathe, because there is no such thing as a bad life. It's just a bad day. And basically, us teachers would always relate to that. It's because aside from being a teacher, we have to like juggle other responsibilities. Be a mom, mabait na anak, masunuring anak, kapatid, and what other roles we have to play in life, right? So it pays that you give yourself time to rest and breathe, because there are really things that don't work, but it doesn't mean that everything won't work. There would be times you would be hurt, but it doesn't mean that every time you try, you're gonna get hurt, right? I also believe that sometimes we just get lucky. I have this principle with my kids or my students. I always tell them, like, imagine all the bits of life events as pieces of cake. And who doesn't love cake, right? Well, kung merong ayaw ng cake, okay, whatever pastry or whatever food, imagine it as it is, right? Um, but yeah, I always tell them, imagine those small things that happen in your life are just pieces of cake. It's not the whole cake yet. Those are pieces of the cake. And if you get lucky, you get icing on the cake too, right? Technically, I would always tell them we're after the actual cake. But we do love icing. So, it does pay to put more effort just to make sure you get the cake. And if you get lucky, you get the icing too. So I guess two of the most important lines I could highlight for teachers who plan to teach abroad, or sabihin na lang natin for teachers who wanna go out of the system they are in now. I felt that so many times when I was part of a certain school, a certain private school, I was part of the public system, I was part of the university. Dumarating talaga siguro sa point na you want out. For so many reasons, may it be good or bad, you just feel one day you want either more, you want change, or you just want out, right? I believe I learned from those experiences that you have to take risks. Like, wala namang sure sa buhay. So, take the risk. And as Roosevelt mentioned, um, whenever you do something that actually scares you, it's either you win and you become happy, or you lose but you become wise because you learn from that thing, right? So going outside of the country took a lot of risk for these teachers who went out. I'm sure we were all scared. Like, no one was that sure that we will all do well outside the Philippines. I could even remember telling my family, walang magpo-post-post hanggat hindi pa ako nakakarating ng US. Kasi I was so scared na, yung pangarap mo na minsan abot kamay na, pero may nangyayari and somehow it pulls you back, and then nire-remind ka, oh, hindi pa pala panahon. So I could still remember telling them, we document, we take photos, but no one will be posting or will be telling anyone, not unless I'm already in the US. And we did that. It was scary. Sa airport pa lang, may scary story na. Pumasok ako, tatlo kami, out of the 12, tatlo kaming nauna na nakaalis ng Pilipinas. Dahil galing ako ng Cebu bago pumunta ng US, it was like 4 plane rides. Imagine niyo yun, ilang timelines na krinos ko for this risk, right? So dahil galing ako Cebu, maaga ako. Ayoko talaga ng nagagahol ako sa oras kasi naiisip ko palagi na kapag gahol ka sa oras, pwedeng pumalpak. But, ironically, I'm also a crammer. So, tsaka na natin i-discuss yung pagiging crammer ko. Alam yan nang nag-prepare ng video presentation ko ngayon. Do something that scares you. So, maaga akong umalis ng Cebu, matagal akong naghintay sa NAIA, and eto na, dumadating yung dalawa kong kasamahan. sabi nila, lumabas ka muna kasi hindi daw kami paliliparin. Hindi ko alam, they were late and everything, but I was so confident that I came here too early at wala akong remalaso na napagdaanan. So, bakit nyo ako hahatakin sa problema nyo, right? And so, I was telling everyone in the family how scared I was. Oh my God, wala talaga magpo-post. Kita nyo na, nasa airport na ako, boarding na. Tapos nagkakaproblema pa yung dalawa kong kasamahan. So, sabi ko, Diyos ko, Lord, ganito ba talaga? Like, you know, when you are to embark on a very big thing in your life, kailangan ba talaga yung nasi-shake yung buong pagkatao mo? It's, naubos ko yata yung napakaraming ama namin at Hail Mary and Glory be an Angel of God and memorary, balik-balik pa ulit. And then eventually, nakapasok din naman yung mga kasamahan ko. Nagtaranta-taranta for a while, but I was like, sabi ko nga, eye on the prize, baby. Papunta tayong US. Matutuloy at matutuloy at matutuloy. So, yeah. Konti pa yan. Konti pa yung kwento ko. So, what were the challenges that these teachers abroad had to go through? Apat yung major challenges na pinagdaanan ng lahat. Siyempre, the money, yung proseso, kasi magpapacertify ka na ulit and everything. Yung stress from beginning up until now na part ka ng educational system. And then the adaptation and the blending in. For the money part, lucky me, I was with an agency, so I was able to, you know, put up the money through a loan. But loan yun, so binabayaran pa po yun. For the other teachers I interviewed, they were lucky that their families had enough. So, hiram-hiram, pero less interest and easier to manage, right? For the processes, of course, you have to prepare all your documents, your previous employment documents, your academic records, your transcript of records, and you have to go through different interviews. I was so lucky to be interviewed. Sa first screening, it was supposed to be like a 5 or 6 set of interview thingy for that day, but I got expedited. Sabi ko nga siguro kasi PNU 1 ako, or matanda na ako, or kung ano mang dahilan yun, I got to go straight to the final interview. And then, but yeah, but dahil nalipat ako sa ibang school, ibang campus, I had to go through another interview. But that was easier because this new campus I'm in, they were hiring for an AP physics teacher, and I'm a physics major, so content-wise, kaya lang. And normalista, so the strategies, medyo alam natin paano i-hit yan. And plus, because tinuruan tayo na magsaliksik bago sumabak sa labanan, syempre, pinag-aralan ko kung ano yung kailangan nila, anong klaseng school sila, and all. So, yung mga ganong proseso, if you're not patient with the paulit-ulit and everything and all, kung hindi ka pasensyoso sa gobyernong Pilipino, kung saan mas pinahihirapan pa ang Pinoy, I mean, you would agree with me, you know, people abroad, processing abroad of documents, it doesn't take you an hour. In the Philippines, pwede ka pang abutin ng linggo. Paulit-ulit. Meron ng online, meron pang personal na harapan and everything. Paulit-ulit, hahalongkatin, documents and everything. But in my experience, like in the US, I just went through one SSA application, fingerprinting, and then every time I have something that has to do with companies, with the government or everything, they just go back to the SSA thingy. And again, everything is done in 30 minutes. If you get to experience more than that time frame, they get back at you. Back at you most of the time, paulit-ulit i-remind kayo na pinaprocess yung document. Hindi ikaw yung napipilitang mag-follow up, ano na nangyari sa document ko, and everything. So yeah. And the adaptation and blending in, I was so lucky to have a Filipino workmate. Shout out, Julian Baden. I was so lucky to have a Filipino workmate. But, dito na pumapasok yung kwento ng PNU one. If you remember Ate Scarlett Tayaon, she was an older DOSC scholar, older batch, sorry. Hindi po intended yung older. I mean, ahead sila ng batch sa amin. And so when she saw my initial post that I was in RGV, she immediately connected with me and shared with me na galing pala siya dito, and she knows people. And it's funny because after we got connected, she connected me with other Filipinos. And alam niya na, bago ako dito, naglalakad nga ako from Walmart to my house, which is like, 6 blocks away. And sabi ng friends ko, you're weird and you're crazy. You're not supposed to be doing that. But, sa Pilipinas nga, di ba? Kahit gano'ng kasukal ang kalsada, nilalakad-lakad natin yan. Going back to Ate Scarlett, she helped me reach out and connect with the Filipino community here at RGV. And imagine niyo, kung ako lang, magkukulong lang ako sa bahay nun hanggang sa magkaroon ako ng sarili kong sasakyan. Because when I came here, yung boss ko pa yung pumipick up sa akin sa bahay, nandala ako sa school, and then ibabalik na naman ako sa bahay, at din na naman ako. So, para hindi ako makaabala, kung hindi ko naman kailangan lumabas, hindi talaga ako lumalabas. But, sa tulong ni Ate Scarlett, kinonect niya ako sa mga Pinoy, and from then on, almost every Saturday, isang Pilipino pumupunta sa bahay ko, tour me around, show me around, bring me food, bring me whatever I need. And kaya sabi ko sa pamilya ko, sa unang 3 buwan, wala akong masyadong binili. I mean, ano kaya, yung mga inilabas ko lang na pera is yung ginamit ko as pamasahin nung nag-SSA ako. And then actually, nakatipid ako doon kasi Pinoy din yung driver. And then yung fingerprinting. And then a few stuff that I thought I would actually need, like, you know me, I would buy printer because I want to be an effective teacher, efficient teacher, and I want to print out stuff for my class, right? So, yun lang basically, but yung pagkain, mga pangunahing gamit, kung hindi ko dala galing sa Pilipinas, ay bigay sila ng mga Pilipino kong kilala. So, isang skill yon na dapat baon ninyo. Ibandera nyo lang, Pilipino po kami, and the Filipino community will really help you. Again, kung gusto nyong makita yung kwento ko dito sa RGV, there is an article which featured me during the AAPI month. Makikita nyo dun yung mga hindi ko siguro masyadong nabanggit today. So again, those are the challenges. Pero, inisip ko na lang, syempre, US yan. Sino bang papasok ng US na 1,000 lang ang dala ng pera, di ba? So, it was a necessity to actually go for a loan and borrow. Huwag kayo mag-alala. Halos lahat ng tao may utang. Ang usapan lang is you have to be responsible to pay them back, right? The processes, syempre, US yan. So, sa Pilipinas nga, napakagulo ng proseso, di ba? So, ano pa kaya sa ibang bansa? So, But once you get here, or once you go to a different country, eventually the processes would be easy. And for the stress, wala namang hindi stressful na life. So, ano lang yan, mind over matter, right? Pag inisip mong hindi mo kaya, iyak ka na lang. But actually, I cried so many times. But after that, after kang umiyak, bumangon ka ulit. I-try mo ulit, right? But here, it's less stressful for so many things. Like the teachers I interviewed, the resources are available, the certifications are easier, I mean, the processes are more clear, the steps are easier, they tell you your next steps, they tell you where to get the thing, and for me, i-apply nyo talaga lahat ng natutunan nyo nung nag-aaral pa kayo maging guro under Philippine Normal University, and eventually, everything falls into place. So what are the things that you have to remember if you are here in the US? I usually put hashtag usahay for my posts. Usahay because it's US of A, and usahay in Bisaya would mean paminsan-minsan. So those are points to ponder, or some things. If I post with that hashtag, like these are some things na magandang balik-balikan, paminsan-minsan, because you learn from those posts or experiences, or it's just like a proud moment, a celebration of win, right? So number one would be unlearn to relearn. I graduated in the year 2003 and never stopped teaching since then. There was a time, siguro iisip nilang nag-stop ako magturo because I chose to study my master's and go on a sabbatical leave from the public school. But I actually never stopped because at the end of the day, I would cry na nagawa ko na lahat ng trabaho, nalinis ko na yung bahay, natupi ko na lahat, nalabhan ko na lahat, nahatid ko na yung mga bata, naluto ko na, kung bibigyan ako ng pagkakataon, naluto ko na yata yung buong pagkain na para sa isang linggo sana. So I tried to look for a sideline while I was doing my master's. And while I was on sabbatical leave, right? So I did a few tutorials and I helped a friend with a website na nagbo-book siya ng students who would study abroad, and probably doon din medyo na-boost yung moral ko na, why not study abroad or be part of a certain program, right? So ganun na ako katanda sa edukasyon. Pero hindi ko naman sinasabing ganun din ako kagaling. But when I came to the US, yun yung una kong panglaban sa takot. Like, why would I be afraid? I've been teaching since 2003, right? But then the academic setting here is so different that if you try to, insist that this is how we do it in the Philippines, and it's so different compared to how they do it in the US, wala kang patutunguhan. Magkakaroon ka ng parang mental block, and eventually you won't be that productive. However, if you try to accommodate the new learning and integrate it with what you actually learned, if you try to understand why their system, their protocols, their structures are different to what we have in the Philippines, and then, pasok-pasok mo lang yung mga skill and abilities na ginagawa mo rin sa Pinas, you will be more productive, you will be more effective, and you will be more efficient. The next one is strive to survive. We always tell our students, right, that every school year would give them a new set of classmates and that they need to survive that. If your kids would transfer one school to another, if a person would go from one place to another, you have to strive to survive. So I asked a few friends of mine who were PNU graduates, like Sir Carl and Miss Bea and Madame Lucille, and I have Miss Freedom. Palagi nilang sinasabi kung hindi ka open-minded sa mga pagkakaiba at pagbabago na makikita mo when you go to a different country, it would be very difficult for you to survive in that area. It's like it will give you that idea to resist change, right? But striving to survive works well sa mga Pinoy kasi maparaan tayo. And we don't stop at a no. We don't stop with what we can't. We always, the typical Juan, the typical Pinoy, would always see to it that we go through and get through whatever we have, okay, at hand. We always try our best to show what we could actually lay on the table. Sabi nila kumpara sa actual employees ng mga bansa na kinaroroonan natin, sabi nila ang Pinoy daw masipag talaga. Typical Pinoys have the initiative. It is because they strive to survive, right? We always think of ways, we become resourceful, and we make sure that we find solutions to any problem at hand. And the last one is to adapt and pay forward. I would usually ask when Filipinos or friends are, for me, too generous already or too helpful, but they would always tell me that the kindness and generosity that they do to us teachers who are new to that place is actually a way to help us adapt with the different culture, the different environment we're going into, and it's also a way to pay forward the kindness that they felt when they came here. So looking at that principle, it's like treat other people like how you feel you want to be treated, right? So ako din, parang unti-unti ko nga na-internalize yan. So when the next batches came, or even like yung mga batchmates ko, I would still remind them dahil same system naman kami, like same district, right? So more or less, there's uniformity in some of the rules, the, how to call this, incentives, the processes and everything. When something is like imposed or when I learn something new on my end, even if they're like miles away, I would remind them like, did you do this already? Like it benefits us, like extra stipend, extra hours or something like that, but less work, right? So I would share it to them. And some of my friends would tell me like, some people, they don't even look at the GC anymore. Like, why do you waste time like sharing this stuff to them? And I was like, I'm sharing it not by thinking that they would respond to it or that they would say thank you that I reminded them of these things. I'm sharing it because I want to share it. Like, gawin nyo or hindi, yung paalala, yung invitation or everything, ginagawa ko yun because I feel it's a good way to pay forward whatever kindness I felt. So whatever you do with that opportunity that I share to you, nasa sa inyo na po yun, diba? Also, if there's like wins, accomplishments, I try my best, or I believe most international teachers try our best to celebrate small wins, big or small, right? It's not to boast, but it's actually a way to exemplify how people in the culture that we are in now appreciate, recognize, validate something that you did so well. It's funny kasi isa yan sa mga binanggit ng mga teachers na nag-share sa akin. Sabi nila isa yan sa, pagkakaiba ng Pilipinas at ng ibang bansa. Sa ibang bansa, I could speak for that experience too. I saw it here in the US. They celebrate wins, big or small. I mean, they don't care if they tell you every day you did a great job. They tell you every day you did a great job, not in general, but they actually specifically tell you, okay, I saw how you mentored blah blah, and that was so cool. I saw how you struggled, but you took the initiative to reach out to people and eventually led to the success of your activity. They recognize you for that. So aside from following the core values that they have, every time you accomplish something, yung simple nga lang na mapatahimik mo yung mga bata with the hand signal. It's a structure, it's a protocol that not all teachers are able to get. They would celebrate you for that if in the first week of school you get to master that with your new set of kids, right? So Sir Elmer Bulalin highlighted that. He's also a PNU 1 math major. He also highlighted that na isa yun sa magandang bagay na na-experience niya dito sa US. They celebrate you with your wins, big or small. And your bosses don't boss you around. They actually do the work, and so you're motivated to learn, to survive, to adapt, and soon pay forward whatever you learned from the mentoring. You are also motivated to, inspire others, help others, pay forward the kindness. Another philosophy that I would want to remind everyone is, if you want to be the best, invest. Hindi lang sa pera, sa lahat ng aspeto. Investing in yourself first is the best investment you can actually make. Gaya ng sinabi ko sa inyo, dumaan ako sa panahon sa part ng buhay ko na I felt like I need to do more because I want to give out more, right? I honestly felt that if I stay in the Philippines and I don't get a good scholarship to pursue my PhD, I won't be able to fully grow in the academe because I can't be promoted because I don't have my PhD yet, right? If I'm part of an old institution, I can't go up the ladder yet because usually the politics runs as prioritize the senior ones, prioritize the older ones. Or I could be promoted, but my family life would be sacrificed, right? Here abroad, specifically in the US, the small things you do, they see it. That's why teachers here, the promotion rate is really fast. Like, they don't end up to be just teachers for the whole decade, not unless they choose to. Some of them, they've teach, get promoted, become admin if they want to, but in the end, they really want to teach, so it's their choice to, like, not be demoted, but to actually go back to teaching. But the fact is that they are actually presented the opportunities, and after that, you get to decide, do you want to go up, or do you want to go back and grow as a teacher, right? So again, if you want to be the best, you need to invest money, time, effort, brain cells, right? So yeah, one big reminder. So I was thinking being a teacher exchange is a way to invest for my future. Kung noon hindi ko naman talaga pinangarap maging teacher, pero napunta ako sa teaching, right? Because of my DOS scholarship, because of Philippine Normal University. And along the way of my teaching career, I tried moving out and be part of the corporate world. I did pass. I did got hired, but I didn't do it because in my heart and in my mind, I felt I was for teaching. I am for teaching, right? And so, kaya sabi ko, hindi naman ako mapopromote pa yata sa Pilipinas. So, might as well invest on myself in other ways. Like, go out of the country. Learn from other countries' educational system, right? And eventually, na-overwhelm ako sa mga natututunan ko. That's why I'm so happy for opportunities like this where I get to share and I get to, tell you the little bits and tiny bits of being here, being part of the teacher exchange program. Another theory or philosophy I would want to highlight is the fun theory. People would always tell me, ba't palagi kang nakapungis-ngis or nakangiti or masaya, or my students would always tell me, Miss, I want to be here in your classroom because the energy here is different. It's like, if we come here, it's like every problem we have like goes away. And I was like, what do you mean? You can't even see my mouth because I always wear the mask, right? But then the kids would always say like, no, miss, like you always have this energy that makes us happy. Okay. So I guess I owe it to the fun theory or the Volkswagen concept, that something as simple as fun is the easiest way to change people's behavior for the better. Every batch, every class, every kid is unique. Every individual, teacher yan, bata yan, parent yan, whoever, they go through different stuff. Tayo, iba-iba yung pinagdadaanan natin. But I always see to it that I get to tell you to be somehow positive or look at the bright side of things and stuff. And siguro either napapagod na lang yung pinagsasabihan ko or yung pinagsharean ko, and then they get to internalize it, and then eventually they realize like there is really something good if you see the fun side or the good side or the positive side of stuff. When I was abroad, nawala pa yung mga anak ko. Hindi ko pa sila kasama. There would be days I would cry on my way to school or when I get home, while driving, while working. But natatawa ako if there's a day that a kid would come up to me like, Miss, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be in school. And then I would jokingly say, me too. And the kid would eventually laugh. And I would share to them that I would have days where I drive to school and cry, but I always tell myself, it's already Wednesday, 2 more days, it's already Friday, it's gonna be a weekend, right? Pag lumampas na ng Wednesday, solved na yan. Okay. Pero pag Monday, Tuesday pa lang, nagbibisi-bisihan na lang ako. Kasi alam kong hindi ko makukumbinsi yung sarili ko na malapit nang matapos yung linggo. And you'll get through the week, right? But yeah, I think fun theory helped me make kids love my subject. Kasi hindi po nila love yung physics. Because they said, sa physics, you have to read, you have to solve, and then you have to put things together. And then you use algebra too to, understand stuff and apply whatever you learned in the subject. And I was like, I know it's complicated, but if you look at it, it's relatable because, walking, rolling, driving, running is a specific example of physics. It is relatable. Whatever you do when you play flag football, volleyball, and all the other after school events, you have fun, right? And little do you notice that it's actually physics. And so eventually they learn to love the subject. And as a science teacher, to see that change and growth in them, being more engaged with your subject, it makes you, how do you call this? Really happy. Like, it gives you that sense of happiness. Like, okay, goal 1, move on to the next goal. So, yeah. So, yung mga nakasimangot dyan, kasi mahigit 1 oras na ako. Ngiti-ngiti. Summertime. One great thing of being part of IDEA public schools is their core values. Every time tinatanong ako, may mga district, hindi masyadong maraming binabayaran, maraming binibigay na incentives. Bakit diyan ka nagsettle? It's a charter school. I could still remember people were saying, charter school, naku, hindi ka sigurado dyan. But ako, hindi talaga ako palabasa, ha? But naisip ko, siguro the little Juan in me always tell me to be resourceful and have the initiative to check on things I embark on. Although sa iba, lang ako, sunggab lang ng sunggab, no? But this one was really like a goal and a dream and a big, target nung kasagsagan ng bago magpandemya, no? So, when they told me, Idea Public School, search agad, ginugol, and binasa. And so, nakita ko yung core values. Sa team and family pa lang, na-in love na ako. Okay, I like this school. So, at the small stuff, 100% every day, no excuses, whatever it takes. And then, making sure that you close the gap. These core values, nung pagbasa ko pa lang, masyado na siyang inviting. And when I became part of the actual system, I was so honored, okay, that I'm part of the organization who promotes these core values. And I become more proud if I see these values not only exemplified by my workmates, but also by the kids. Like, here, wala po kaming signal number 1, 2, and 3. Our typhoons or storms would usually be 2 hours and then sunny na ulit. Ganon ka-crazy yung lugar na pinagka-assignan ko. So technically, there's no excuses. They don't do early release times or half days or something because the state mandates them to have the kids, school-age kids, in school for school hours, or else the school could report the parents na hindi pinapasok ng parent or wala sa school yung anak, even if it's school hours, right? So yeah, I got I got awards related to these core values, team and family, and now I'm grade team leader. I got known to sweat the small stuff when I was starting. Imagine, pre-calculus, AP calculus. If my AP, or sorry, if my calculus or pre-cal teachers still remember me, palagi ko sasabihin nila, hindi siya kagalingan, ha? Or yung mga advanced physics teachers ko, nag-pre-cal, nag-AP cal, hindi yan kagalingan nung college. So talagang sinet the small stuff ko talaga yun. And I made sure 100% every day I did my best. Kasi ayaw kong ma-deport. Sabi ko, wala ako sa Pilipinas. In public school, stable, but wala ka sa Pilipinas, pwede kang ma-deport. And pwede ka lang nilang, pauwiin. Or hindi na i-hire for the next year. And yun nga, whatever it takes, kahit na may iyak-iyak days, I would still make sure I do my best. Isa pang maganda dito, you get to ask questions. I always think my questions are sometimes too silly or dumb, but people would always say, if you actually want to learn, there are no silly or dumb questions, just silly or dumb answers. People here exemplify team and family by actually helping you. I had this story that I made packets for my kids. I only had them for 3 months and they'll be taking their AP exams already. So one way was to create a review packet for them. And everyone, I got, how do you call this? Teacher of the week because of that, because I did the packet and they saw me actually doing the stapling and collating of everything one by one. And there was this Hispanic teacher and she actually asked me, didn't you know that, didn't we have staples in the copier? And I was like, I don't know, miss. I didn't check. She was like, you did all those? And I was like, yes. Yes, miss. And she said, but have you tried the copier? Stapling it through the copier as you copied it. And I was like, but I wanted the colored one. Yun yung sagot ko. I wanted the colored ones. I printed them at home. So I had to put them on top. Pero in the long run, naisip ko, yung sinasabi pala niya is, pwede namang inisang file ko lang, print ko, and then, when I clicked on the print setup, staple and collate na. So, I didn't have to, put the stuff together, and then staple it mano-mano. Ay, kitang-kita niya, hirap na hirap akong nagmamano-mano ng staple. So, it was a funny experience, I know. And my Filipino friend told me, so you didn't know that you could just leave it there and the machine would staple it. And I was like, I don't know. You didn't tell me. And he was like, you didn't ask. I was like, I don't know, sa Pilipinas nga, hirap kami magkaroon ng sariling copier. I mean, nung nasa public school pa ako, right? And stapler is there and I was able to do it mano-mano, but yeah, it was a funny experience though. So sabi ko, sorry na, hindi ko alam. Sabi ng friend ko, don't say sorry, be better. Diba? But yeah, nakakatakot magtanong, but dito you're supposed to ask, never assume, because they would always be willing to help you and help you get to and through the task. Malapit na! Dream big! You are an infinite possibility. In a National Science and Math training, Dr. Bernard Harris, the first African-American astronaut to actually be out in space, he said, I am an infinite being with infinite possibilities. And I truly believe that. Hindi dahil Pilipino lang tayo, Pilipino lang. Okay? Ipagmalaki nyo, Pilipino kayo. Pilipino tayo. It doesn't mean that we come from a small archipelago or group of beautiful islands na maliit na yung pagtingin natin sa sarili natin, right? I could remember one of my students telling his classmate, "Could you believe that Miss came from a third world country? The Philippines, so small, look at that. But she's here teaching us." Imagine, that's how great she is. And I was like, and then a kid also butt in, kids here. Yeah, so you notice that you're dumb, right? And, pero hindi naman po yun yung punto. Like, it feels so good to be appreciated by other people na, oo nga, saan bang Pilipinas? And, even kids here, like, they would associate us, like, as Chinese. But I tell them, like, I mean, we're Asians in general, but Filipinos are different from Chinese. And then some kids would say, we're like connected to the Taiwanese, and like a kid was actually telling me, like, so have you tried the Korean food here, miss? Like, can you compare it to your country's food? And I was like, I'm Filipino. And then, well, yeah, Korea and Filipino is one and the same, right? And I was like, no, I'm Filipino. Koreans, they're part of Asia too, but Koreans are different from Filipinos. Like, and so the kids would usually laugh, like, siguro naiisip ko, no, sabi nila, saan ba kasi tong Pilipinas na to? So, I would usually show them the map of the world, and they would even, some who are really good with it, it's a third world country. It's similar to Mexico. They usually compare us to Mexico because nasa border kami, no? So, oo, ganyan. Yung halaga ng peso natin with the halaga of peso in Mexico and something like that. Hindi, dalawa palagi yung type ng student na nag-iisip. It's either Miss is like too rich that she actually spent to come here to teach us. Spent much money to come here to teach us. Or, ang galing-galing ni Miss. Like, some people even haven't heard of the country except kung kilala nila si Pacquiao, right? Or kung sino pang kilala sa iba't ibang larangan. But in reality, when you go to public schools, like the kids would say, you're amazing. Like, you are amazing. And I want to like reach out to other Filipinos. Like, us Filipino teachers abroad are appreciated by these kids. And we feel like inspiring and motivating you na na-appreciate nga tayo ng ibang lahi, right? How much more kung ginagawa natin talaga yung pagkaguro natin sa kapwa natin Pilipino. And I'm so honored, again, paulit-ulit, I'm so honored for opportunities like this where I get to share, motivate, and inspire other people that Filipinos, we have to be proud that we are Filipinos. Like, ang hirap maintindihan bakit minsan hindi ka ma-appreciate ng kapwa mo Pilipino. But every time you see the achievements of people or Filipinos in other countries and how these countries take care of them, recognize them, acknowledge them, and validate the good things that they did, somehow you feel proud na Pinoy ako. When I came to the United States, pagka-February nun, nagkaroon ng winter freeze. And I got more time to be off the technology. And good thing I brought my novel, Tuesdays with Mari, with me by Mitch Albom. And I got to revisit some of the good points of the book. And I want to highlight that part where it relayed to the readers to aim to be a teacher till the end. Ganon kabigat yung responsibility of being a teacher. Ganon kabigat yung paniniwala natin if you are a teacher. Like the things you can do, not only for your students, for the community, but also for the country. Saludo ako sa mga guro sa loob at labas ng bansa. I hope you do aim to be a teacher till the end. So that means lifelong learning, being better versions of yourself every day, thinking of more ways to help other people, recognize the strengths within them, improve themselves, and eventually help them become better versions of themselves too. Kagaya ng sabi ko, it doesn't make us less Filipino if we're out of the country. It doesn't make us less of a teacher if we don't actually teach Filipinos. I take pride though in being a Filipino teacher because I know a Filipino teacher teaches with a heart and actually cares. So again, aim to be a teacher till the end. Kagaya po ng nabanggit ko kanina, humingi po ako ng inputs mula sa ibang mga guro. Mga guro na Pilipino rin tulad ko, pero nagtuturo sa ibang bansa. So, ito yung mga sagot nila. Sabi nila sa inyo, Dear Pinas. At ito ang kasagutan sa ilang mga tanong ko. Tinanong ko si Ma'am Lucille. Si Ma'am Lucille, physics major. She graduated 2004. Kung naalala niyo po, yung chinitang guwapang Lucille Dadang, siya po yun. Paano ka nakapagturo abroad at ba't mo pinili ang lugar o para lang ito? Ang sagot ni Ma'am, I found the school online with encouraging benefits and really good salary compared to the teacher salary in the Philippines. So, kinamusta ko siya at ang sagot niya, I'm happy with work and school life. And evident naman po yan, if you follow her on social media, she is actually doing well. Anong pagkakaiba ng academic setting sa Pilipinas at bansang kinaroroonan mo ngayon? She replied, our school is following the British Columbia curriculum. Our students are all trained to qualify for the top 100 universities in the world. Classes are focused on student engagement and independent learning according to the core competencies. Students study general required courses in grade 10, and they are free to choose courses that will be aligned for the degree they'll apply for the university. And so, tinanong ko rin siya, ano naman ang mensahe niya para sa mga Pilipino na nais ring maging guro sa ibang bansa. They are the best teachers in the world. They have incomparable resilience and creativity that will take them along the way. Tunay yan, palaging sinasabi sa ibang bansa, kakaiba pag ang guro ay Pilipino. She said, for our teachers in other countries, make sure to stop the culture of gossiping and crab mentality. Nako, dito sa US, yan po ang napakasarap. Hindi sila masyadong nakikialam sa personal mong buhay. Like, there was a time I tried to explain why I was absent because I was tending to a family thing, right? Because the kids were, like, coming to the US already. And one of my co-teachers messaged me privately and she said, Sue, just so you know, here in the US, you don't have to explain anything to other people. Like, you are entitled to the absence. Family matters, personal matters. You are entitled to those absences and you are free to use them. you never left the school without a task for the kids, and you even make sure that the kids are still on task even if you already filed for leave. Like, you have to change that thing. If you're on leave, be on leave. Don't work, no work. O, diba? So yun nga. Sa Pilipinas kasi, sa totoo lang, isa yan sa nakakasira sa environment. Gossiping and crab mentality. We should all support and help each other. And for her shoutouts, sabi niya, maraming salamat sa lahat ng naging teacher niya sa Pilipinas. Lahat kayo ay parte kung bakit ako naging isang teacher. And again, like I said, she's a good principal. Ito pa po, from Sir Elmer Bolalin, BSE Mathematics, Batch 2014. Parang ang tanda ko na, Sir Elmer. Sabi niya, Dear Pinas. He actually went to the same agency kung saan ako nag-apply. And he's actually in the same district. But we're 9 to 10 hours away. Si Sir is naka-assign siya sa Odessa and he's an algebra teacher. He said that the school has a mission to prepare every student to be college ready. Totoo po yan. So if you compare our school with other regular public schools, kung lilipat sila sa regular public school, 11th grade pa lang po, pwede na silang graduate ng high school and they could start college. But since our school aims to actually bring the child to and through college, after 10th grade, they start getting credits for college. Like they take advanced placement courses na kapag pinasa po nila yung exam, hindi na po nila yun iti-take sa college. And for them, it saves them thousands and thousands of tuition fees. So some of our kids would graduate with 5 AP classes passed. So some of them would start college by 2nd year already. So, yun lang. Although, hindi naman po required na ipasa talaga lahat yun. It's just that if you look at the bright side, if you pass, ang laki ng matitipid mo pag nag-college ka, right? He said, I am doing great and I am the lead math teacher for the 6th graders. They said, he said, Sir Elmer said, they have this culture of feedback. They give timely feedback to teachers and hold them accountable to high expectations. The students here are well funded by the government and they have free meals and free educational resources. Madalas ko rin pong sinasabi yan sa mga students ko na, kailan kaya ang Pinas magkakaroon ng free lunch and free breakfast? Or, looking at the bright side again, kung ang Pinas sana, merong ganong resources to give breakfast and lunch, I believe our kids would be better kids compared to students in other countries, right? Filipino teachers are well respected in other countries because they are compassionate with their students. They are also determined in giving quality education to their students. I encourage teachers teaching abroad to give their best every single time they step inside the classroom and be proactive when given a feedback by their admin. Si Sir Pulalin po, awardee yan ng IDEA, core values. He exemplifies team and family, make sure they achieve academic excellence and close gaps and everything. Filipino teachers here in the US are appreciated. Kaya po na sinabi ko sa inyo, di ba? They celebrate small and big wins. I'm grateful to be a product of my alma mater, PNU. So, ito po yung mga shout out ni Mr. Bolalin. I would like to give a shout out to the PNU Math Department, to Dr. Fortes, Dr. Marivic Diaz, Sir Wilmer Marquez, Dr. Celine Sarmiento. Thank you for preparing us to be globally competitive teachers. Also, a big thank you to Dr. Bert Tuga, President of PNU. I was once your student and the quality of your teaching is superb. Shout out po sa inyo, dear Pinas. Love, Sir Elmer. And for our next Dear Pinas, this is from Miss Bea Lee, BSE Mathematics 2005, Chester High School math teacher at US of A. Um, Actually, hiningin ko sila ng mga picture. Sabi nila, okay lang daw po na wala lang muna. So, ito po yung Dear Pinas ni Ma'am Bea. Saglit lang po. So Miss Bea said, yeah, like I've mentioned earlier, she heard about the exchange visitor program, another term for teacher exchange, from her landlady who was a former principal, and so she tried applying for the interview. She went to the US as of July 2019, and she felt it was challenging because the culture was really different. But she was able to get through it. And congratulations, ma'am. She said she's teaching in a high school now. And it was funny because, yun nga, I think lahat kami nanibago doon sa, crediting of units. I'm teaching in a high school, and the major difference is the students only have most 5 classes a day for 9th grader, but upperclassmen have only 4. They can be promoted to the next grade even if they fail a certain subject, provided meron silang earned units or pwede silang mag-sit-in or merong tinatawag na failure due to attendance, which is pasado naman ang grade but lumagpas sa allowable absences. No? Sabi ko sa inyo, napaka-stricto po ng state. Every, how do you call this, school-age kid should be in school. Kaya nga yung mga anak ko, when they came in, it was December, and so pag January, I was planning to just let them stop for the whole school year. But then I was worried, baka ma-evict ako or ma-deport ako, no, dahil dyan. So, I was lucky that my school accepted my kids. And you know what? My kids actually thrived in their new school. They liked it so much that they were all so motivated to do good. And in the end, they got their academic awards and their core value awards. Yoo-hoo! And then she said they will be able to take off their record if nag-render sila ng sit time. Or, popular din po dito sa amin yung community service. Yung excess nilang amount of time na isi-sit time nila ay may bayad na yun per hour. And then, yung iba, first sem pa lang ng senior year, graduate na sila. So, for them, semestral yung subjects and crediting. So every state has their own way of implementing their curriculum. They have their different protocols. They have their different structures. So 4 to 5, sabi niya, I admire each one of you. Dear Pinas, I admire each one of you. You can be a teacher anywhere you want to be, but you still chose to teach here despite the low salary and lack of support. I think she's pertaining to the Filipino teachers. Hindi rin po perpekto ang sistema ng edukasyon sa US, kaya nga po marami ang American teachers na umaalis sa pagtuturo. Pero kahit papano, mas makikita ang support, ang dami mong pwedeng gamiting resources na provided na ng district, plus well for her experience, sabi niya, hindi pa boss ang mga boss at principal. Nakikita mo talaga silang gumagawa at nagtratrabaho. And for her, shout out sa mga naging katrabaho ko sa Makati Science High School. That's from Ma'am Bea, Quezon City Science High School at Colegio de Santa Rosa, Makati. Itong nagdaang election period, hindi niya mapigilang maging proud sa nasaksihan niyang paninindigan ng mga kabataan at ginabayan ng mga gurong ito. Patuloy po sana nating gawing mulat, mapanuri at critical-minded ang ating mga mag-aaral. Again, that's Dear Pinas. Love, Ma'am Bea. And last but not the least, ito po siguro ang isa sa Dear Pinas na pinakakaabangan ko rin. So, Dear Pinas from Sir Carl. Si Carl ay kaklase ko. Hi, Tol. Carl Ryan Asia, graduate from PSPT 2003, current school and position, Sekolah Lentera, Indonesia, middle and high school principal. So, hindi lang po siya basta sir na teacher. Sa sobrang galing niya ay principal na po siya ngayon. Parang si Ma'am Lucille, di ba? So ito yung mga sagot niya sa piling-piling mga tanong. Paano ka nakapagturo abroad at bakit mo pinili ang lugar na to? So like what I shared earlier, tama, nabanggit ko na sila kanina, no? Sa masters nila, tinanong sila ng professor nila kung interesado sila. Nag-masters po sila sa PNU. So, PNU could also be an avenue for you to be teachers abroad. Siyempre, nandyan yung mga kapitapitagang mga profesor at mentors. Hindi ka nila i-invite kung wala kang abilidad, di ba? So, but I think everyone in PNU has that, capacity and ability to be better not only in our country but also abroad. So, kinamusta ko siya, sabi niya, maganda ang kalagayan. Professional kasi maraming natututunan, lalo na sa paggamit at pagpapatakbo ng international programs or curriculum tulad ng Cambridge at International Baccalaureate programs. So, our curriculum is way much different than the international curriculums they implement. Pero, whatever it is, teaching is teaching, right? So ano yung pagkakaiba? So sabi niya, maraming pagkakaiba tulad ng academic culture na may malaking pressure at expectation. Kasi nga, at the end of the program, may international exams na dapat ipasa. Isa din ang interdisciplinary teaching at evaluations na napaka-effective sa pagkatuto ng mga bata. Ang pinakamalaking sigurong sitwasyon ko ay yung exposure sa international trends and best practices. I agree. Kasi yung PDs ay international din, tulad ng experience sa Australia, Singapore, Thailand, China, Sri Lanka, at India. Okay? So, what more would be a better way to learn about these curriculums than actually being immersed like in the curriculum? You know? And then, so anong mensahe mo na gustong iparating sa mga Pilipino bilang guro sa ibang bansa? Sabi ni Sir Carl, Dear Pinas, isang malaking opportunity para sa karir at pamilya ang makapagturo sa ibang bansa. Siguro maging handa lang sa mga sasabakin at pag-adjust sa nature ng work at mga katrabaho kasi iba't ibang nationalities na ang kaharap mo. Ang Pinoy naman magaling makipagkapwa-tao at masikap. Yeah, that's true. We are so flexible. And what's nice when you go out of the country and be a teacher there, nafe-feel mong nagiging mas mabuti kang tao because you learn to adjust. Pero naalala ko, no? Siguro yung training ko para makapag-adjust abroad, nagsimula yan sa PNU eh. Kasi sa PNU, para kaming international school. We all came from different parts of the country. You know, yung mula sa Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao na type na pinaghalo-halo, labo-labo sa isang klase. And then, iba-iba yung relihiyon and everything. And I could really remember na I think yung mga mahalagang aral sa buhay is natutunan ko talaga nung college years where you get to, engage with people from different walks of life and you get to learn more about different culture kasi sa Pilipinas naman kahit isang bansa tayo, iba-iba pa rin ang kultura. So yeah, parang mini practice pala yun ng teaching abroad, right? And so, ito na ang pinakaabangang shout out from Sir Carl. Dear Pinas, shout out sa mga naging professors ko sa PNU, lalong-lalo na kina Dr. Soto, Dr. Evangelista, Dr. Nevesmania, Dr. Vergara, Dr. Cortez, Dr. Soriano. Maraming salamat po sa inyo. Actually, marami pa kami dyan. Si Ma'am Paz, teacher ko po yan. Si Sir Arlene's, ang dami pa. Mr. Vergara, Dr. Vergara, I have like a funny memory kasi nakita niya akong pinagagalitan ng mami ko sa Ayala when I was a college student. Yeah. At marami pa pong iba. And take note, yung mga professor niyo po dyan, mga kaklase po namin yan noon, ang gagaling po talaga nila, Dr. Brando Palomar, Dr. Donna Marie, Temesa pa yan si Miss noon. Actually, siya po yung nag-invite sa akin. Teka lang, i-close ko lang to. Dear Pinas, love, Sir Carl. At syempre, kahit kanina pa ako nagsasalita, meron din akong sariling Dear Pinas. Para sa mga guro natin sa loob at labas ng bansa. Saludo po kami sa inyo. Patuloy po kayong gumabay at tumulong sa kung ano mang itinuturo ninyo at kung ano mang level ang tinuturuan ninyo. Pinakabata, average, high school, college, graduate studies, kahit ano pa yan, let us all strive to touch people's lives and make them better every day. Dear Pinas, okay naman po kami dito sa labas ng Pilipinas and maraming pagkakaiba ng buhay dyan at dito. Pero kagaya po ng sinasabi namin, it doesn't make us less Filipinos. And me as a Filipino teacher, I try my best to represent the Philippines the best that I can. And with that, meron po akong article. Huwag niyong kalimutan. Pwede niyo pong basahin. Nasa Idea Public Schools. Just click on Superwoman Bringing Joy to RGV. Mababasa niyo doon yung mga kwento at maraming kwento ko pang iba. Ano po yung shoutout ko? Shoutout sa lahat ng mga naging guro ko. Ang dami-dami ninyo mula pa elementary up until college and graduate school. Shoutout syempre to my batchmates, batch 2003, BSPT and BSEPT. Okay, di ba? Pareho ko kayong mahal. Shout out to PNU DOST Scholars Association. Shout out to SAPE, which is my former organization too. And I think magpa-plug na rin ako na may session din ako with them, but this time it's live. And you can reserve your questions and I'll answer the questions during the live session. Shout out din po sa FCEC, yung agency ko. Kasi kung wala sila, wala po ako dito. Jaya Visions, my sponsor, and Idea Public Schools. Shout out sa lahat ng Pinoy, sa loob at labas ng bansa. Maraming salamat sa pagtaguyod and patuloy na pagwagayway ng bandilang Pinoy at pagpapakita na kahit saan pa ilagay ang Pinoy, ay lilitaw at lilitaw yung galing natin. Ano nga yung kanta ng Orange and Lemons? Pinoy, ikaw ay Pinoy. Ipakita sa mundo kung ano ang kaya mo. Iba talaga ang Pinoy. Dear Pinas, nagmamahal, Mams. At dyan po nagtatapos ang episode natin ngayon. Dear Pinas, nagmamahal, Ma'am at Sir. Huwag po natin kalimutan i-like and i-share ang episode ngayon. Again, if you have comments, questions, suggestions, or gusto nyo pang matuto about teacher exchange programs, pagtuturo sa abroad, or kailangan nyo kami sa mga presentations kagaya nito, please don't hesitate to reach out. We have our social media accounts over there. Thank you! Kung Marvel fan kayo, nag-aabang kayo ng post-credit scene. Ang sarap ilagay dyan yung mga old photos namin nung nasa PNU pa kami. Kaso talaga kinapos ako ng time, mommy duties, work duties, and nagkaroon ako ng last-minute trainings. I would like to thank everyone who gave me this opportunity to talk and talk and talk and share about cultural exchange, teacher exchange programs. I hope that you did learn from the episode today, and I hope kung may katanungan kayo or you need clarifications, I'm in social media. You could find me in IG and you could find me in Facebook. I also have a Gmail, sugilmartasio@gmail.com. You are free to ask questions. Magtanong kayo na magtanong kagaya ko kasi ako, palatanong din ako. So yeah, thank you. And a big shout out to all the teachers and everyone at PNU who are all doing an amazing job. Itaas ang bandila ng pagka-normalista at pagka-Pilipino, right? Again, gusto po naming ipahatid sa inyo na nasa labas man po kami ng Pilipinas, kami po ay Pilipino pa rin sa isip, sa salita, at sa gawa. Thank you, PNU, and this is PNU Talk.